right, cell phones? Cell phones, everybody? Cell phones, cell phones? All right, you ready?
November 12th.
Even if it's cloud, when you know if it's cloud, it goes back to 12.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, it goes to the 12th, I don't know why.
Do we have a paper version so we can at least get started?
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Just go back to the beginning
Ah.
and then just push it on down.
So when you go back to the beginning, you press the top corner, left-hand corner, right?
Yeah, just keep going back. And then at the end of the meeting, I'll show you how to push it into Acrobat.
Okay.
But we won't do that right now. It's in the cloud still now.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, you guys ready? Good evening, everybody. We're ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 26, 2019. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Madam Mayor, all council members are present.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, is there anything to report from closed session?
Yes, I'm pleased to announce that the city council unanimously approved an agreement with Mike Sappel to be chief of police. It's a 4-year contract.
Thank you
And
very
that's
much.
all I have to report.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the report. That's a good report. Very good. Okay, yes, congratulations from all of us. Yeah. Okay, we're going to begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight it will be led by Stephanie Telez and Austin Tanaka. Immediately following that, we'll be led in invocation by the Reverend Juan C. Huguera. So at this time, please stand, and if our pledgers can come forward.
Good evening. Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing.
Pastor Huguera?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of your gracious Son, Jesus Christ, to lift up to you this meeting and to help and bless all the issues here discussed. We pray for our mayor that you give her strength and wisdom to lead this beautiful city of Gardena, that she continues to do the good job she was trusted on her. We also pray for our police department, for the chief of police, and for all the men in uniform he leads. Bless every single one of them as they patrol the streets of the city. Protect their lives and their families. Give them safety. We also pray for the fire department, for the chief of the fire department, for all the men that they risk their life on a daily basis. Protect them and protect their families. Give them safety also. We pray for the city workers as they go to their daily duties every day. Bless also the citizens of this beautiful city of Gardena. We also pray for our country. We also pray for our governments, that we can live a peaceful life and help us to respect our neighbors' rights as we want our neighbors to respect ours. We pray that you give us strength. We pray that you help us to be good citizens of the city, not only of this city, but the state of California. Be good citizens of this beautiful country that you gave us the privilege to live on. Not a perfect country, we know, but you're perfect. God Almighty, you are perfect. And we believe that you listen. We believe that you hear our prayers. We also, again, ask you that you bless this meeting in the name of Christ. Amen.
You may be seated. If I can have our two pledgers come back to the front. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by two students, Stephanie Telez, who is 16 years old and in the 11th grade, and Austin Tanaka, who is 15 years old in 10th grade. Both Stephanie and Austin are members of the Gardena Sister City Association and were part of the youth delegation that traveled to Ichikawa, Japan last summer to represent Gardena. Stephanie is a member of the Gardena Youth Commission, and Austin is the son of Brian Tanaka, who is the Nutrition Services Coordinator for the City of Gardena Senior Citizens Bureau. So we're going to begin with Stephanie. Stephanie, can you tell us who brought you here tonight?
Yes, we came with Esther Trujillo from Gardena Sister City.
Where's Esther at?
She's in the back.
Okay, give her a round of applause. Thank you. And is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, thank you for having both of our groups. Our sister city was able to go to Japan, as you said, right? And it was a really good trip. It was a really, really nice trip that I think we all enjoyed.
Very
Yeah,
good.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Austin, can you tell us who brought you, or did Esther bring you too?
Nah. Like you said, my dad is Brian Tanaka. He is here tonight.
Where's he at? Okay, wait, let's embarrass him. Wait, okay. Thank you for bringing him. And is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all you for allowing us to be up here. This is probably like the biggest thing I've ever done, to be able to say the pledge in front of all y'all. So thank you for that, and thank you for allowing us to go to Japan.
Okay. Well, thank you. Don't worry, you're going to do even bigger things than this here. But we appreciate both of you guys representing us internationally in Japan. That's a really big honor. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And we look forward to you guys coming back again in the future. So give them one more round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys can take your seat now. And if Pastor Huguera, if you can come back to the front. So tonight's invocation was led by the Reverend Juan C. Huguera, who is the pastor at Iglesia Bautista Biblica, which is located at 17120 South Normandy Avenue. Pastor Huguera has served as pastor of Iglesia Bautista Biblica, which is a Spanish ministry of Bible Baptist Church, since March of 2015. Previously, he served as pastor of Iglesia Bautista Agua Viva in Long Beach, California. Pastor Huguera is native of Mexico. He came to the United States at the age of 13 and grew up in Gardena. He graduated from Gardena High School and attended El Camino College. He also attended and graduated from AIC Theological Seminary in 1992 and went on to attend First Baptist College in Long Beach, graduating with a Bachelor's of Theology degree in 2013. He is involved in all aspects of church activities, including missions here and abroad, community outreach programs, and visitations wherever there is a need. Pastor Huguera is very happy and privileged to serve the church and our community. Pastor, would you like to say anything?
Amen. I didn't hear you.
Would you like to say anything?
Oh, I have problems with my hearing. Well, I only want to say I get nervous every time I have to, because English is my second language.
Oh, okay.
Even though I came here when I was 13 or 14, for some reason, I don't know why, but all my brothers and sisters and the ones that were born here, they speak perfect English, but me, I don't know. I have never lost my accent. And it's weird because I lose everything. But I have never lost this accent. And I tell everybody I'm Mexican American. That's why I speak that way. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for leading us in invocation. You did an awesome job.
Thank you for having me.
All
God
right.
bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. So next on our agenda are presentations. Tonight we'll be honoring our Gardena military veteran. And tonight it was my choice to pick a veteran. And I chose Mr. Clarence D. Devereaux. And I'm so excited that you were able to be here with us today. He served in the Navy. And we're here today just to thank you for your service. And this is the opportunity we want to give you just to honor you. I'm going to let my colleague here read his bio as I come down and present your coin here.
Yes, Mr. Clarence D. Devereaux, born in East Cherokee County, Texas in September 1933. Mr. Devereaux is the 13th of the 14 children. Military service in 1955 at the age of 22 After graduating from Texas College, Mr. DeVraw enlisted in the U.S. Navy and served for 3 years as a dental technician at El Toro Marine Base in California. Note the Marine Corps had no medical department, though the U.S. Navy kept the Marines' dental health to defend our country. Mr. DeVraw was glad to serve his country wherever he was assigned. He was honorably discharged in November 1958 with the rank of Dental Technician 3 and then served in the reserve. After his military service, he traveled and sang with the Clouds of Joy, a gospel group, for several years. He worked for 28 years in the County of Los Angeles Probation Department, during which time he earned a master's degree in public administration for USC. He retired from his county position in 1988. Mr. DeVraw then pastored the Solid Rock Baptist Church in Los Angeles for 26 years. He also just finished writing a book about his parents and their 14 children, which includes him, titled A Solid Rock, a Rolling Stone, and 14 Pebbles. His book is available at Amazon.com. Mr. DeVraw and his wife moved to Gardena 50 years ago, has been married for 63 years, and are blessed with children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. He currently works through his church doing mission outreach to meet the need of the homeless and hungry. He also shares that the community of Gardena is an excellent place in which to reside. Mr. DeVraw, upon receiving this recognition, will also receive a special coin that was specially designed to honor those received this award, complimentary picture and a DVD of tonight's meeting, and your picture will be displayed at the electronic sign on the corner of Redondo Beach Boulevard and Western at DCH Gardena Honda. All right, thank you. While Madam Mayor, she's presenting the coin, we do have in audience Denise Tucker, who is a 2nd District Veteran Advisory Commissioner, a U.S. Army veteran, is here to present a certificate on behalf of Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas to Mr. DeVraw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's my first time too, so I'm kind of nervous. So I just wanted to, on behalf of Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, and as his Veteran Advisory Commissioner for LA County 2nd District, and to my veteran brother, this scroll reads, "In recognition of dedicated service to the affairs of the community and for the civic pride demonstrated by numerous contributions for the benefit of all the residents of LA County, signed in November 26th, 2019. And I just wanted to tell you thank you for your service, sir, and it's a pleasure to present you with the scroll.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You can go ahead and speak now.
Having been a pastor, I'm not nervous. There's so much I'd like to say that I have to condense it. But first of all, I give all praise and all thanks to God, who has been the head of my life. And I thank God for that. And I thank you all for considering me. When I think of what I'm standing here tonight and receiving this, I remember when I was a little black boy in Texas picking cotton, never thinking I could even go to college. And here I am receiving an honor from the city of Gardena. How great you are and how great God is. And I thank God for this. Now, first of all, I'd like to let you know about the book. I wrote the book, and I've autographed a copy for the mayor, The rest of you have to get your own. Gardena has been a great, great place to live. I was a assistant scoutmaster here for a while shortly after I first came, and I haven't been that active in the city because I was pastoring and working in Los Angeles as the probation department and pastoring a church in Los Angeles. But I want to say to all of you that my motto is, Lord, help me to help somebody every day of my life. And I've tried to do that. I would like for you to say a prayer for my wife, because my wife is battling Parkinson's, and I had to take care of her for 10 years almost alone, and that took a lot out of me at the time I was writing the book. And I thank God, though, that she's in a very good place now in a board and care home. I just want to say, let me recognize part of my family. My daughter, Kim, her husband, my granddaughter, my grandson, Sean, my next door neighbor. Her husband couldn't come, but she said, I'm coming. And to all of you, God bless, and I'm really appreciative of this. And whatever I can do for the city, I'll be able to do it. Even though I'm 86, I'm still active. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so next we're going to move on to appointments. Let's see, does any member of the council have any appointments to any commissions, committees, councils, or boards at this time? If not, we're going to move on to our consent calendar. Does any member of the council wish to discuss any items separately on the consent calendar? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next is Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet. The November 19, 2019 meeting was canceled. So next we have oral communications. We have 3 speakers tonight. First one is Dr. Wilma Franco. If you can start making your way forward. Ben Butts or Butler, I'm not for sure which one this is. And the third one is Franco Morales, if you can come forward. And I'd just like to remind all of our speakers that you are limited to 3 minutes for your remarks unless extended by myself. This box up here, when the yellow light comes on, that will alert you that your 2 minutes are up. When the red light comes on, that will be your indication that your 3 minutes are over. I appreciate your cooperation in advance. So let's go ahead and start with our first speaker, Dr. Wilma Franco.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dr. Wilma Franco, and I am a member of Community Worship Center here in Gardena. We are a local church, and I'm here tonight actually representing our pastors, Pastor Ruben and Cindy Del Pilar. For the last couple of years, our pastors have really been, taking an active role in the community and hosting a number of events from, our Easter egg hunt to back to school bash and, breakfast to honor our police officers here in the city of Gardena. And tonight, I'm really just here to invite, all the members of the council to our upcoming event. Last year we hosted the first winter snow fest at our church, and we brought 10 tons of snow for our students to, families to enjoy, and we also provided gifts to every child that attended that event. So this year we wanted, and our pastor had this vision to expand on that event and actually bring 20 tons of snow this year. So we wanted to invite you to attend that, and I have an invitation which I can share with each of you. And that was it. So thank you so much for tonight.
Okay, thank you. You can give that to Becky right here, and she'll make sure we all get it. Next, we have Ben Butts or Butler. Just hit that little button right there. You go.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk about the problem of sidewalks in Gardena and around my block. Specifically, a large tree was taken out at 14611 Dublin about 2 months ago, and they left the roots underneath the sidewalk. And the sidewalk is tilting so much so that I have to walk on the street in front of 146 Dublin when I walk around the block to walk my dog. I've talked about this before, and they have come out and they've sanded different areas of the sidewalk down, but the angle is still there. Personally, I just got over a bad back problem, and I do hobble somewhat. And I think that's this is the third time I've talked about it at this meeting, and I'm not getting any help to get this sidewalk straightened out. It's quite obvious this was a huge tree that was taken out, and it was taken out, I imagine, because the sidewalk has been lifted up. It's dangerous. It's a hazard, and I was wondering when the city is going to move on it. Can anybody tell me anything about when they can get this thing fixed?
So,
Take
sir,
those roots out of there. 14611 Dublin.
So, sir, oral communications is for you to just express your concerns. We usually don't respond at this time.
Oh, you don't?
No, it will go to our city manager, but I will assure you that our city manager will follow back up with you. He'll have Joe Cruz go back out there again, and the council will all get a report with pictures this time. We want to make sure that this is completely taken care of, so you don't have to keep coming back.
I hope not.
Okay?
Hope I can walk on the sidewalk and not in the street in that area.
Okay.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention again. Next speaker is Franco Morales.
Dear council members, thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Franco Morales and I am 9 years old. My mom and I have been feeding the homeless since I was 3 years old. Sometimes we give them a meal and sometimes we also give them scarves, socks, or gloves for the cold. I have seen a lot of kids who are homeless and this makes me sad. My goal this year is to raise $400 by collecting coins. I want to use the $400 to buy toys for kids who might not have any, because every kid should have a toy for Christmas. I would really appreciate it if you would consider donating any coins to help me reach my goal. Thank you for your time and happy Thanksgiving to each of you.
Oh. Thank you very much. What I'd like to ask you to do, Stephanie, can you just raise your hand? If you can give her your information, and maybe if anybody wants to donate coins to you, there'll be a contact that she'll be able to follow back up with you and your family. Okay? Thank you for taking on that task. That's a really good thing. All right. Okay, next we're going to move on to departmental items. First item up is item 8C1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, Agenda Item 8C1 is for Resolution 6417 and Ordinance Number 1811, tax measure, placement of transaction and use tax, local sales tax measure on the March 3rd, 2020 ballot. Resolution Number 6417 is ordering that the City of Gardena Neighborhood Safety and Community Services measure to adopt a 3/4 cent local transaction sales and use tax to be submitted to the voters of the city at the March 3rd, 2020 general municipal elections, directing the city attorney to prepare and file an impartial analysis, and setting deadlines for the filing of arguments in the office of the city clerk for and against the measure. Ordinance number 1811 is an ordinance of the City of Gardena, California, enacting a local transaction and use tax to be administered by the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, or CDTFA. subject to adoption by the electorate. Do we have a short presentation, Madam Mayor?
Okay.
Okay, a little summary and history. Earlier this year, the city commissioned an independent community survey where over 70% of respondents wanted the opportunity to exercise local control over locally sourced revenues. City staff also engaged residents on their city service needs and priorities through a community survey and outreach program called Get Involved Gardena. Get Involved Gardena is basically, as I said, a community outreach program that we launched early 2019 to engage the community, and we received several responses through approximately 10 district meetings. Some of these responses include retaining experienced police officers, maintaining 911 emergency response times, maintaining anti-gang and anti-drug prevention programs, youth and senior services programs, enhancing parks and recreation centers, and repairing streets and sidewalks and other city infrastructure. With that being said, our 5-year budget forecast demonstrates that the current city revenues are not projected to keep pace with these demands, as well as rising costs and projected deficits, which average about $4 million a year. The primary causes for these projected deficits include year-over-year deferred maintenance on the city's infrastructures, inadequate equipment and vehicle replacement programs, previous funding sources such as grants are no longer available, pension and healthcare costs continue to rise, unforeseen events such as the Lucky Lady closure, which at this time we still can't predict when it's going to be back and operating, and which is costing the city about $200,000 a month, or about $1.2 to $1.8 million a year. And basically general increases in cost of living for our personnel. This has created a significant burden on the city, and maintaining and/or enhancing our current programs would be very difficult to achieve, so the city must identify new and additional revenue sources. One proposal is to place a measure on the March 3rd, 2020 general municipal election ballot to establish a 3/4 cent transaction and use tax to be used for general revenue purposes to fund vital city services. By law, all the money generated by this measure can only be used in Gardena, and will also include accountability provisions such as annual independent financial audits to ensure funds are used as promised for programs and services that benefit Gardena residents. Basically, it would be treated just like any other fund that we have currently, with strict accounting and audit guidelines. The city's ability to impose a local sales tax of up to 3/4 cents could be precluded by the county or other taxing agencies that maintain jurisdiction in the county if those agencies were to propose non-exempt sales tax measures at future elections. So as we went and engaged our residents and our community through our district meetings and our community meetings, some residents became a little they became very concerned, and they had a few questions because they didn't really understand what this all means. So they had a few questions such as, what is our sales tax rate? So some basic questions. What makes up that rate? What happened to Measure H that was put on by the county? And where does the money go, if it does go to the county? And more importantly, how do we keep our tax dollars locally? Other questions include, how will it impact me? How does the measure such as the Measure H impact the local residents of Gardena? And are we alone in raising this type of revenue, this type of tax? So we prepared a table here which explains a lot of these things. Where does the money go, and keeping our tax dollars local? To answer the question of the tax rate, the Gardena tax rate currently is at 9.5%. Now, The big portion of that goes back to the state general fund, which is about 3.9375%. To take that into context, that's about $39.4 million that goes to the state. We do get our Bradley Burns 1% sales tax, which annually generates about $9.6 million. And then everything else on the bottom, all the other line items after our Bradley Burns on this graph, pretty much goes to the county and to the county pool. So in total, if you total all this annually, they're costing the city $44 million that goes to the local county pool. And with this group here is the local, Measure H, which is the most recent tax that the LA County put out, which is costing us $2.4 million a year with that 0.25 cents. So to put this in perspective, how does this actually affect the local resident as far as this 0.75% sales tax that we're proposing? So if you took a cup of coffee at about $2.49, that translates to about 2 cents. That's it. If you had lunch, it's about 11 cents at about $15 for a sandwich and some drinks. If you went to the store and bought some household goods, which are all taxable, and spent $50, that translates to about 38 cents. If you went to the grocery store, which, as we know, packaged food, produce, some non-alcoholic beverages are non-taxable, it doesn't cost anything, nothing extra. So let's talk a little bit about Measure H. There's a lot of buzz about it, and we try to explain it. So I'm going to try to explain it here. On the left of our table here, Measure H was put on by the LA County to combat homelessness. That is a 1/4 cent sales tax that is charged to the city of Gardena. Approximately $2.4 million of revenue that's taken away from our city. It goes to LA County and the county pool. And by the time it gets to Gardena, back to Gardena, which, by the way, is not automatic, you have to apply for it. That's why I highlighted potential. It only come back as $200,000 to Gardena. And I want to add that to date, we have not received a penny from homeless, the Measure H sales tax. Compare that to what would presumably be Measure G, which is a 3/4 cent sales tax to our city. That is approximately $7.4 million in revenue. All that goes back to the city of Gardena. It does not go to the pool. So again, that will go back approximately $7.4 million to general fund programs. So then the question is, are we alone? The answer is no. Prior to 2013 to 2014 in LA County, there were only 2 cities that had a measure, sales tax measure that increased their sales tax to over 10%. Those cities were Pico Rivera and the city of Southgate. Post 2014, that number grew exponentially. There are currently 31 cities that are 10% and above, so we're definitely not alone. And those cities are not yet in the 10% bracket. About 16 of them are proposed to increase their tax on the March 3rd ballot. So you'll see, Gardena is here as a proposal, but again, the vast majority of the cities are now in the 10% and up tax bracket, the tax rate, simply because they realize that the threat from another taxing agency like the LA County or AQMD is very real. In fact, we anticipate the Air Quality Management District to put on a sales tax measure in 2020, as well as another homeless sales tax extension, which is an extension of H, in 2022. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when this is going to occur. So, per Revenue and Taxation Code 7285.9, a city may levy, increase, or extend the transaction and use tax for general purposes if the ordinance proposing the tax is approved by a two-thirds vote of the city council, which is tonight, followed by the majority vote of the qualified voters in the city in March of 2020. Ordinance number 1811, which is attached to this agenda, is prepared in accordance with Revenue and Taxation Code's requirements for transaction and use taxes and has been reviewed and approved by the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, or CDTFA, prior to its presentation to the City Council. Should the City Council wish to place this proposal on March 3rd, 2020, a general municipal election ballot for public consideration, it must approve Resolution number 6417, which provides ballot language, directs the city attorney to prepare an impartial analysis, and establishes the deadline and priority for supporting and opposing arguments to be printed in voter information pamphlets. Lastly, it is extremely important to note that the City Council is not deciding whether to impose a tax. Rather, the City Council's role in this process is in deciding whether to place the matter on the ballot for consideration by voters in Gardena. It is important to note that both the Gardena Business Advisory Council, or GBAC, and the city's Finance Committee have both voted in favor to recommend to the City Council that this measure should be placed on the March 3rd, 2020 ballot. The estimated cost for placing the measure on the March 3rd, 2020 ballot is $9,931. If approved, the measure is expected, again, to provide approximately $7.4 million in revenue annually. What is required is that the City Council approve Resolution 6417, ordering that the City of Gardena Neighborhood Safety and Community Services measure adopt a 3/4 cent local transaction and use tax to be submitted to the voters of the city at the March 3rd, 2020 general municipal election, and introduce ordinance number 1811.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for the presentation? That's it? Okay. Before we open this up for questions, I know we have 4 speakers on this item. Madam Clerk, are there any more besides this?
No, Madam Mayor, that's it.
Okay, so I'm going to let the speakers come up first here. First speaker is from the Gardena Police Officers Association, M. Sargent. Mike Sargent, come on forward. And then after that will be Brenda Jackson. Come on.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. My name is Mike Sargent. I'm the president of the Gardena Police Officers Association. I'm here with my fellow members tonight to state our endorsement for this and to state our support. This is a very important tax measure. We've done our due diligence, we've done our research, and based off what we can tell, the county will impose this one way or another eventually, and we'd like to keep our resources in our city to continue providing the level of service that we do. So I thank you for your time. I just want to tell you that we support it as members of the police department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Brenda Jackson. After that will be Roy Kim and then Sean Evans.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Serta and City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. As a resident of Gardena for over 29 years, I have enjoyed a sense of community here. It's just like little Mayberry RFD, right? I mean, everybody helps everybody. I know in our area, everyone knows, you know, who's sick, who's not, who just had their baby. It's wonderful. That's why I'm here this evening in support of the local sales tax measure, G. I think that it's very important for us to continue the programs that we now have to provide meals, activities for the seniors, activities for teams and sports of youth, to keep them out of trouble. Human service programs that we have are so amazingly helpful for the homeless and also for the hungry. I think we should keep Gardena's tax dollars here to help fund those important programs, as well as the community events such as the city tree lighting, that's going to be coming up soon, right? And senior candlelight dinners and the holiday toy giveaway. Thank you, and have a very nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Next is Roy Kim, and then after that is Sean Evans.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Serta and City Council. I'm a longtime resident of Gardena and business owner, and I truly appreciate and enjoy living in our city. And one of the reasons I love living in Gardena is that I feel safe in my home and my neighborhood, thanks to our wonderful police department. It's right there. I'm speaking tonight in support of the tax measure that is on tonight's agenda. I believe that we should support this tax measure so that our tax dollars remain in the city instead of going to the county. I attended a district meeting and it was explained by city staff that county tax measures like Measure H go through the county and the city will see very little of the funds from the measure. I mean, we need to keep our local tax dollars within our city so we can continue to maintain our streets, our safety, and other services that our city provide. And before I go, I would like to give thanks to our police officers because I know they're risking their life to have a peaceful life in our city right here. So I would really like to give thanks to you all. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Next is Sean Evans.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Sean Evans. I'm the general manager at DCH Gardena Honda here in the city of Gardena. I'm here to show support for the measure, proposed measure. We've worked hard to keep the streets some of the best in the South Bay. We want to continue that. And Mr. Butler's sidewalk on Dublin Avenue, 1411. Let's get it fixed. The effort's costly to maintain. I think we're all in support to make sure our money stays here. I don't think there's any disagreement in this room. So I'm essentially here to support the measure, the proposed measure. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Evans, before you leave, I want to just thank you for allowing us to be able to post our veterans picture up on the electronic sign there. I think that's just a great partnership of just letting the community know how much we appreciate our veterans. So thank you for working with us on that as well. Okay, and now I'm going to open this up for questions here. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at all? All right, I'm going to start on this end this time, and I'm going to work my way that way.
Thank you, Madam
Councilmember
Mayor.
Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you can see, though, there are a lot of people in this room that support this measure, and I'm actually one of them. I've been in this city 66 years. It's a safe city. I was a part of this police department. We keep this city safe, but if you look at things like Measure H, they take our millions of dollars and they give us a mere pittance back if they give us anything at all. The governor has raised our gas taxes for roads that never get fixed. The money that we raise on this Measure G will stay in our city and will make sure that our city is as safe as it is, as clean as it is, takes care of our seniors. Our roads are the best anywhere in the South Bay. It's just something that if you look around and you listen to the things that go on in this city every day, we are the gem of the South Bay. And we can't keep giving our money away to programs that I feel don't really help us. Now, Measure H is a great thing, but I worked homelessness for 12 years. And I'm going to tell you, this money that they're raising for homelessness is not going to get rid of homelessness. That's not the solution. And we should not be giving our money to programs that really don't attack the problem. We need to keep our money here. And so, you know, I'm a taxpayer too, and I hate paying taxes, but I'm going to tell you what, this is something that we need to do to keep in our own home. We need to take care of our own right now, and continue the services that we provide to our citizens. So whatever you think about taxes, this is something that you need to really support. And if you have questions, ask them, because we're not the only city in the South Bay or anywhere that already has this high of a tax base. And it's because they want to do the same that we want to do. So take care of what we have and support this.
Okay, Councilmember Medina, do you have a question or comment? No? Okay, I'm going to continue this way. Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem, excuse me, Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to piggyback my colleague, well said, Councilman Tanaka. But I do have a question, a couple questions over here to the city manager. If, Becky, if we can put the measure over here on the TV, please, on the monitor. When we raise the tax to 10.25%, so 0.75%, we pay at this time about a quarter back to Los Angeles County, don't we?
That is correct.
And do we still have to pay them, or that will eliminate
No.
paying us?
So for instance, Measure H, you would continue to pay the Measure H quarter cent. This is an additional, so to explain it, we had a full 1% available to us before Measure H came along.
Yes.
So Measure H took the quarter, so now we only have three quarters.
Okay,
So
so we
let's
still have
say-
to pay that $2.4 million to LA County.
Absolutely.
And basically, we paying for their homeless issues in LA County other than in our city, right? 2.4 million is not going to cost us to keep our homeless here in the city, 75 of them. It's not going to cost the city that much money, right?
That is correct. And if I may elaborate on that. So when Measure H passed, obviously the city of Gardena wasn't at the cap of the tax rate. So cities like Long Beach and Santa Monica, we know there are very high concentrations of homeless individuals there, but their tax rate at that time was already capped at 10.25. So what happened was, once the Measure H passed, their city didn't have to pay a dime towards it. And they're not paying a dime towards this, and yet they have the largest population of homelessness. Therefore, they get the bulk, the lion's share of, for instance, the 2.4 that Gardena is paying.
So we're paying for them, basically.
That's correct.
All right.
We are paying for them.
All right. My next question is about AQMD. When you mentioned earlier at 2022, they might raise the tax. So they cannot come and raise tax in the city of Gardena, right? We are capped already.
So if you were to pass this in 2020 and they came along in 2022, we would not be affected. The cities that would be affected are the ones that are not yet in the capped tax rate. So if you had 9.5 in 2022, obviously you would be subject to that tax.
I see. Okay, thank you.
And Madam Mayor, may
Go
I
ahead.
clarify something? The Measure G letter designation that we are using is a placeholder right now. The county assigns that for us later on. We're just you're calling it Measure G right now for identification purposes. It could be it or it could not be.
Oh,
Called
okay.
Measure G. So
Okay.
they assign that for us.
Got it. Thank you. Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I definitely want to echo what my colleagues have stated. Although we all hate taxes, I think we love our quality of life. And it sounds like it's something we probably should have jumped on before, because what I'm just learning from the conversation is that you almost create some immunity to being levied even more taxes when there's no room for that, especially keeping your money in your city. 7.4 million is a lot. I want to go back to the fact that we're given 2.4 and we only get roughly 200,000. And what's that process like for us to at least get that back? What's that process like as far as the applicant? Because you have to apply. So what's that process like?
Councilman, that's correct. You have to apply for the pass-through to receive that money. We have done that through the homeless count, but to date, we haven't received any of that money.
Has there been any response from LA County in regards to just a delay?
I'm not aware of any responses. And I've done some digging around on other cities. It's the same deal with other cities too.
Okay. The only other comment, again, none of us like taxes, but I think that this is something we can kind of guard ourselves on the future side of things by imposing this on ourselves now, keeping our money local as we think about other ways to generate revenue in our city. But that's definitely disheartening to contribute so much and then get so little back, and also that we missed a earlier opportunity to kind of guard ourselves. Let's say if we'd have done this a few cycles back and everything. So I understand that. So I think we should roll with this.
Okay, thank you. So I have a couple of questions. The first one is, there is no sunset clause on this one. This is a forever tax, correct?
That's correct, Madam Mayor. There is no sunset clause on this.
Okay, and if this measure were to pass, how soon would we start being able to receive the money?
So if you were to pass, if we were to pass in March, July, we should start the process, and probably September of 2020, we should start getting a little bit of that.
Okay.
Because it has to go through a process with the CDTFA, and then they would remit the money to us, just like our local sales tax here, the Bradley Burns.
Okay, and just one other question, and that's in regards to Measure H. Was there ever sunset on that, or is that a forever tax as well?
I believe H is 10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
Okay, so then that percentage that Measure H took then, what happens with that percent there? Would we have the ability at a later time to try to get that 1%, at a later time then?
So theoretically, if it's Measure H sunsets and you're at 10.25, so theoretically you'd be at 10. And then you'd have to put another measure on the ballot to capture that another quarter. But I can guarantee you, and this is just by experience, and this is how LA County operates. Before that Measure H even sunsets, I can guarantee you that there will be a subsequent measure already in place before that even sunsets.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in regards to this, if the measure does pass and the voters say it does pass, it would be unrestricted funding that we could then spread across all our services and everything. So if we wanted to expand our mental health outreach team, if we wanted to do something with our health and human services, it's not going to be just for specific blocks. We can kind of start developing our program initiatives, so if the voters do pass it, we can start working on some of those things towards the end of 2020?
That's correct, sir. This is a general tax, it's unrestricted general fund for all general fund city services. However, it's been indicated by our surveys and Get Involved Gardena that the citizens do prioritize certain things like public safety, but and streets and roads. But again, those are general city services. Those are general programs, and you can use it however you like. You can appropriate this money however you please. This is a general tax.
So then the discussions become internal with staff and council in regards to, although some of the things have been prioritized, there's still some other things we can still look and move forward to say, hey, well, we're going to prioritize this for parks, but let's say Public Works needs $600,000 to, new equipment and different things like that. We wouldn't be prohibited from doing something like that, correct?
That's absolutely correct. It's open for anything. It'll go through the budget process, and then it'll get audited just like our local, regular Bradley Burns.
Go ahead.
Mr. Simmons, so in regards to this, so if the voters do pass this and everything, would this be an opportunity for us to try to set up a depreciation schedule for our stuff moving forward? Because then now we can look at good intervals to replace a lot of our plant land and equipment and different things like that. Would this be that opportunity to help us in the future?
Absolutely, sir. As I mentioned in my report, through the years, we've had some deficiencies in setting up depreciation schedules, some equipment, vehicle funds that we've deferred. This is definitely a good mechanism to do that, partially planning for and funding and shore up those schedules.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Tanaka?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just real quickly, though. It was said that it's going to cost us $9,000. That's a drop in the bucket to what we're going to actually gain if this passes. And then when you talk about Measure H and homelessness and what we're not getting, it's because we in the city of Gardena and our police department have partnered with social services, and we actually attack our problem when we find homeless people. We deal with it. We just don't brush it aside and push them to another city saying, go away. We actually take care of our problem. And so when we're paying $2.4 million to have somebody else's city that we're paying for their services, I bet you we're not getting 200,000. I bet you we're barely getting 100,000. And right now, we haven't gotten anything. And that's because, see, in Gardena, they want to be us because we're actually taking care of the problem. We're working on the problem. We attack the problem. We don't look the other way. So as a citizen of the city, you really need to look at this whole tax measure and what it's going to benefit you as a taxpayer, because the money stays here.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, then I'm going to make the motion to adopt resolution number 6417. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, it was a motion made by myself and seconded by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll?
Mayor Serta.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Okay, it's passed. So one more thing before we finish this item, I do need one person to introduce ordinance number 1811. Can I get someone? Okay. Madam City Clerk, ordinance number 1811 was introduced by Councilmember Tanaka. Okay, very good. Thank you, guys. Oh, wait a
I
minute.
just want to just clarify that it's passed to put on the ballot.
It's passed to put on the ballot.
Yeah,
Thank
so,
you.
words do matter.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so moving on. Item number 8C2, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta and members of the City Council, agenda item 8C2 is for Resolution 6423, recognizing the importance of and declaring support for the 2020 census. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution number 6423, which recognizes the importance of the 2020 U.S. Census and supports helping to ensure a complete, fair, and accurate count of all Californians. The U.S. Census Bureau is required by Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution to conduct an accurate count of the U.S. population every 10 years. An accurate census count in California is amplified due to the size of the state and the diversity of its communities. California receives nearly $77 billion in federal funding and relief, in part on census data. The census count also determines the number of seats each state has in the U.S. House of Representatives and is used to distribute billions of dollars in federal funds to state and local governments. Therefore, a complete and accurate count of California's population is essential. This is a massive undertaking, and the city's partnership with other local governments, the state, businesses, schools, and community organizations will provide the best outreach and communication strategies for the 2020 U.S. Census. There is no fiscal impact. What's required is adopt resolution number 6423.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6423?
So moved.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian and a second by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, moving on to directives. Does any member of the council have any directives for tonight's meeting? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a question for Mr. City Manager in regards to all the development that we have going on in our community. I know we had some goals for the developers to start looking at local suppliers and local hire and different things like that, but I don't recall if we had them to provide reports to us quarterly or biannually or something like that. Is that something we could ask the folks that are doing business in our community to produce for us?
What
Well, first, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I need a second, but you wanted more clarification?
Yes, just a clarification on the type of report that you're looking for is just suppliers that they're going to be intending to use as far as local suppliers in Gardena.
Or those that they reached out to, or if they've done any local hire with the Gardena One Stop or something like that, so we can at least get an understanding of all this investment coming in, how we can kind of create a force multiplier to actually improve our community.
So we currently don't have that, but we certainly would ask the developers, if directed so, to provide that report.
No, I need a second. So
Second.
I give you a second.
And a third on that one. Are there any more directives? Okay, I have a directive. Mr. City Manager, I'd like to know if we can look to create maybe something like a sustainability division within our economic development department.
Mayor Serta, that's an excellent question and an excellent request. If we can get
Can I
a
get
second.
a second on that?
Second that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to say that I think it's important that not only do we talk about it, but we actually do something about it as far as having an operating division undertake this responsibility.
Are there any more directives? Go ahead.
Mr. City Manager, lately I've been noticing building colors are changing in the city of Gardena. And on Western Avenue and 146th Street, a brick building, it turned into purple colors in a few days. So I was wondering if do we have any ordinance or any color code or enforcement so we can talk to the owners? Or do we have an ordinance, or do we have to do any ordinance?
Mayor Pro Tem Kaskanian, we currently don't have any ordinance prohibiting any color choices, if you will. We are aware of the building that you're referring to. We've gone out there and spoken to the owners, but we're limited to just speaking to them as far as, you know, what's the rationale or whatnot. So if you
can I make a
give a
suggestion?
direction?
Can I jump in?
Yes.
And can we look to maybe an ordinance that maybe that references if it's going to change? I guess how can I say this? Not limiting to what colors you can put, but maybe what colors are kind of distracting to the community, or something that doesn't uplift the community to keep our quality of life to a certain level. So something that gives us some discretion with that. So. Yeah, because we definitely don't want anything to diminish the quality of life here. So maybe something a little bit broader that doesn't say that you can't paint it this color, but if it doesn't, you know, fit within the norm of the area, something under that order, maybe, something like that. You kind of get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Probably not.
We can
explaining
certainly research an ordinance that would preclude certain colors or activities that might diminish the values
Right,
of
that's where I'm going.
you know, the properties around that subject property. So this is the directive?
Yes. And I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, any more directives? If not, city manager's remarks regarding our previous directives.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, one report on a directive, the last council meeting, the Hometown Heroes Directive. We are still researching that. Obviously, it involves different entities as far as putting flags and pictures and whatnot on our thoroughfares. What we found initially, based on our initial queries, is certain cities charge families for that service, you know, like an annual fee. We would certainly look at options like that or other options available to us. Yes, we can. You can reach out to businesses, and maybe they can donate funds to put in that program. So more to follow. I don't have a complete report yet, but we'll do in the near future. City of Gardena is hosting 2 demo centers for the. I believe this is the new voting experience. December 3 to 7th, 2019 at the Gardena Mamie Deer Library. December 9th to the 20th at the Nakaoka Center. At the Nakaoka Center. The 5th annual Winter Wonderland and Tree Lighting Experience is on December 3rd from 4 to 9 p.m. at the City Hall lawn. Come play in the snow, take a picture with Santa, enjoy hot chocolate, s'mores, and arts and crafts. 50th Annual Christmas Craft Fair, Saturday, December 7th, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Nakaoka Community Center. Vendors will be selling everything from candies, wood items, jewelry, handbags, clothing, plants, Hawaiian print items, and much, much more. And this is free admissions, and snack bar will be open. Breakfast with Santa on Saturday, December 14, 2019, from 8 a.m. to 11:45 at the Nakaoka Community Center. Pre-sale tickets $5 for adults and children, $7 on the day of the event, and breakfast and crafts from 8 to 10:45. Certain entertainment will be from 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. The Chat with the Chief, Chief Safel, Saturday, December 14, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Gardena Police Department. Great opportunity for the community members to address any questions or concerns with our new chief of police. Each person will be allocated a 20-minute session. The Dr. Martin Luther King Commemorative Parade, Saturday, January 18, 2020 at 10 a.m. starts from the corner of Van Ness and Marine Avenue. Celebration festivities follow the parade at Raleigh Park. We do have a short video of the recent renovation at the Nakaoka Center. I do want to highlight that the furniture that we repurposed went to all of our parks, so nothing was destroyed, nothing was wasted. So, Becky?
Nice, very nice. All right, good job.
So, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, this is just one example of what staff can do with just a little bit of funding to make our city look good and look better. As you know, Nakaoka Center has been it's aged. So this is phase one of our renovation. As you know, we've already completed the audiovisual renovation. Chief Safel held his all-hands meeting there, and he had a great video with all the sound effects and the audio-visual. The AV system performed wonderfully.
Oh, good.
So we had a great turnout there. Last but not least on my remarks today is it's both my pleasure and sadness that I congratulate our Director of General Services, Mr. Joseph Cruz, for his new role in the LA County as the new Facilities Maintenance and Operations Manager. Joe, thank you very much for all of you've done here and accomplished here in the city. You know, we thank you. Really, we couldn't do half of the things that we've accomplished here without you. Would you like to come up and say a few words, please?
First, thank you for those kind words. That's a little bit overwhelming. It's been a pleasure and an honor to work for the City of Gardena for the last 3 years. I could not have delivered the projects and services to the community without the leadership of this City Council, the collaboration with our City Manager, our City Attorney, my fellow department heads and their staff, and most importantly, the men and women of the Department of General Services. They'll always have a special place in my heart. Just want to thank everybody for their support. I won't be too far since I'm going to be working for LA County. I'll still be delivering services to the City of Gardena, so look for me, I'll be around. Okay. Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Councilmember Henderson?
I just want to say, Joe, while you're over at the county, could you see if you can find our $200,000? Start that. All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for your service here in the City of Gardena.
Madam Mayor, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we're going to move on to council remarks. First up is Mayor Pro Tem Kaskanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our two meetings that I was absent last meeting and being outside the country, I don't have any report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Tanaka?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hey, you want to tell us about France? Wow, okay. So anyway, I attended the G-Trans celebration of the CHP inspection that they passed. It's not an easy test, and good job, and the tacos were great. Gardena Honda, the giveaway that they had, their little celebration, it was quite an event. I'm sorry I couldn't stay for the whole thing, but we thank Gardena Honda for all that they do for us. Attended Toshio Hirai's one-year memorial, and I thank Chief Safel. That was a great event. I thank your members of your department and all those in the city that put that together. I will always miss him, and that just kind of made me realize why. Just a great young man that gave us life too soon. So thanks a lot. We appreciate that. Joe, congratulations. I'm going to miss you. I can't call you and say, hey, I need this, fix it, but we'll do lunch. Congratulations, Mike. I've watched you as a young patrolman and a jailer and all that other stuff that you've done, and I'm proud that you've done what you've done. Stephanie, that young man, I'm going to challenge my council companions here. I'm going to write that young man a check for $100 so that he can buy toys for those that are less fortunate. And I appreciate what he's doing because not very young people will step up to look after others. And he's doing a great job. So I'll get together with you and I'll get you a check. And everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Be blessed.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I definitely accept the challenge that Councilman Tanaka put up there, but the challenge is going to be finding the checkbook. Because just writing checks. I'm trying to get out of that habit, but definitely that's very impressive for a 9-year-old to come with such poise and everything to share some of his passion and everything like that. Since our last meeting, I also attended the Toshio Harai's one-year memorial. He was a real good dude and everything to his family and everything, so we want to make sure we keep his family in prayer, especially his young son. Did a lot of community visits and everything, just talking to a few community folks about what we're doing and getting some feedback. And for the most part, the feedback that we get as a body is very positive in some of the things that we're doing, so we just got to kind of keep going. Attended Centinela Youth Services meeting. That was a good meeting. DCH Honda, Comfort for Kids. It was a program that I wasn't familiar with, so what Comfort for Kids does is provide beds for children that don't have them. No matter, Mayor, you'll probably elaborate on that a little more. I had the opportunity to speak to the Pomona chapter of Jack and Jill on the importance of community service and why it's good to be involved with community service at an early age. So that way it becomes kind of part of who you are and your personality as you move forward in wherever community that you reside. And I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. This will be a good time to be with family and everything, watch football and eat, and try not to talk about politics too much. Just talk about why we're all together and having a good time. So ends my report.
Okay, thank you. And for myself, since the last council meeting, I attended the first CCGA meeting, which before we were calling it the JPA for the casinos. But we had our first meeting the day after our last city council meeting. So that new organization is moving forward, and we're doing very well so far. I've attended 2 sanitation meetings. I am the director for the city of Gardena. One, my regular meeting, and the second one dealing with a labor issue, which I had to drive all the way to Whittier for, but it was kind of good to get out of Gardena just for one day and experience all the great traffic that we have here in Los Angeles. Also, I attended the celebration of the life of Officer Harai, and I just want to thank the department for just doing a really good job and just having a very memorable service. Toshio meant a lot to several of us as we had the opportunity to get to know him. So thank you for doing that. It was truly a very nice experience for us, as well as for his wife, Kristen, and his son, Takeo. Also, since the last council meeting, I attended the CERT graduation. This is one of the largest graduating classes that we've had probably ever. I believe it was about 45 people graduated. And for those of you who don't know what CERT is, that's the Community Emergency Response Training. So in the event of a major catastrophe, you know how to take care of yourself. And something that I like to tell everybody is, in our city, I believe, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you said at any given time there's about 12 officers or so that are on shift at a time, somewhere in there. And we have 2 fire stations. Each fire station has about 3, maybe 4 guys there. So we have less than 20 people in the event of a major catastrophe that would have to take care of over 61,000 people. So that's why we need to know how to take care of ourselves. So for that reason, I want to definitely continue encouraging everybody to take CERT. It is free. And it's available for us to take care of ourselves and our families. So I was very pleased with the graduating class, and 2 of our youngest students graduated this time. They were 14 years old, and they did very well in the class. So that was a good thing. So I'll let you guys know about the next class that we have coming up again. Also, I attended the Gardena Evening Optimist Club. I was a keynote speaker. And their subject that night was community service. And we had 3 young people that we recognized that night, and they did some really amazing things for their ages. They were a part of just about every club out there. They donated their time just with homeless and helping people with all sorts of things, tutoring, you name it. And actually, one of the kids were one of our explorers here in Gardena. So I was very proud that we were able to even recognize her. Also, the last thing I attended was on Saturday, the Honda Comfort for Kids. And that event that was held this past Saturday, not only was it for kids, but it was also for veterans as well. And I just want to commend not only Honda, but the organization Collaborative Expansion, as well as our Human Services Department. All these different groups and our police department, they all work together to help make this event happen. And they were giving out care packages to, like I said, to the kids as well as to our veterans, and even beds. And there was families had to, they had an essay contest for families who were in need, and the winner received a free car from Honda. So the general manager was here that day, presented a car to a family, and the mother and her daughter, they were so happy. And the mom mentioned, she said, as much as she loves taking the bus, and the bus is a good thing, public transportation, it's not easy when you have a family. You know, it's one thing to take your kids to school, but it's another thing trying to go whenever there's, back to school night, or trying to go to the grocery store in the rain. So it's always a good thing when you can have your own transportation, especially when you have a family. So for that, I want to thank all of the people who were involved with that. It was a great event. There was magic shows, there was bumper cars, jumpers there, a lot of good things, free food, you name it. They did a great job. They moved all of their cars out of the parking lot there. They actually partnered with Kaiser and a couple of other businesses that allowed them to park their cars in their lots for one day while this event went on. So I want to thank those partners as well, because it took that entire group to make that event happen. So it was just a great example of what we can all do when we work together. So with that, that ends my report, and I again want to congratulate Chief Safel on your new position. I'm looking forward to your pinning ceremony. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Cruz on moving on up there. Congratulations, and that ends my report. Next up is Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, went to the Toshio Harai celebration, and it truly makes you appreciate our police department. As was mentioned during Veterans Day, a lot of our police officers, the ones who are not with us anymore, have given up their tomorrows so we can have our todays. And Toshio was a good example of serving his community and doing it for a cause that 99.9% of all the police officers in our city do, and that's to provide safety for our community. So I was very moved for that celebration. I also attended the Honda Comfort for Kids. What was amazing is how fast they put all the cars back into the lot. It was 47 minutes. All the cars were back in slot. I also attended the Rotary Operation Gobble, where we gave away 300 meals or 300 dinners of turkeys. An actual 15-pound turkey with the stuffing and the bread and the potatoes and all kinds of good stuff. And then also this morning, I also attended, or should I say I DJ'd for the New Challenge Ministries, which you gave out 350 turkey dinners and gave out clothes and as well as other food other than turkey. And I want to say hi to my granddaughter, Angelina, who's watching on TV. And I'd like to wish you all a very safe and blessed Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, let's see, our city manager already mentioned our announcements here. Hopefully you can attend all of those. A lot of good stuff coming up here in the month of December. So we're going to move on to our remembrances. Tonight we're going to adjourn in memory of Mr. John W. Shruplin III, who was 79 years old, a longtime Gardena resident and military veteran who served in the Korean War. He was also a barber, a businessman, and a community service activist, and he ran for office for Gardena City Council member in March of 1978. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Miss Gracie Ann Mulberger, who was 15 years of age, and Mr. Dominic Blackwell, who was 14 years old. Both were students of the Saugus High School in Santa Clarita, California, who were tragically and innocently killed by a fellow student while at school on Thursday morning, November 14, 2019. So at this time, the Gardena City Council will adjourn to our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting, which will be at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, December 10, 2019. We are adjourned. Thank you.
So we gotta make sure.
Dan Medina.